Today, we're thrilled to feature the extraordinary pianist Benito Gonzalez, a two-time Grammy nominee renowned for his masterful blend of Afro-Latin rhythms and the rich traditions of American jazz. Benito has worked with jazz legends including Kenny Garrett, Pharoah Sanders, and Jackie McLean. He's established himself as one of the most exhilarating pianists of our time. His dynamic style, intuitive creativity, and bold artistry have inspired audiences worldwide. So join us as we dive into the story of this Steinway artist and his incredible journey through the world of jazz. Benito, good to see you.
Hey man, good to see you, man. Well,
Yeah,
how you been? It's
I'm.
been a long.
I we only get to see each other on social media these days, but we keep up with everything, right?
Yeah, man. I always like your style of playing.
Oh, man, I appreciate that. And
Yeah.
I've always thought you were tremendous. And when I was at Berkeley studying in 2005, I remember when you had first joined Kenny Garrett's band, when you were playing with Nat Reeves and Jamire Williams, like
Yes.
I guess one of the first bands you
Yes,
would
exactly
recall.
around that time. Yeah.
Right. So, maybe that'd be a good place for us to start because I know you started playing with Kenny again recently, but
Yeah.
how was that feeling when you first got the phone call that you were going to join his band? Because that was really serious. I mean, what did you feel at that moment?
Oh man, it was I had met Kenny like 3 years before then. Uh I was playing with J Mac actually with Jackie McLean in New York at the Iridium Jazz Club for a week. And Kenny came a few days in the row. Um, but the first day he came, I remember seeing this guy there. I didn't recognize him. I was very young and, you know, I was just excited to be there with with Jackie. And I remember Kenny asking me for my phone number after the set. And then I didn't recognize who he was. I just say, "Can you give me 1 minute? I will write it for you." I didn't know that was Kenny Garrett.
Wow.
So I went backstage and I was talking with Jackie backstage. Then I see this guy coming in. And then Jackie says, "Hey, Benito, you met Kenny Garrett?" I was like, "Oh, wow. Okay." And then I wrote my number really quick and gave it to him. And and then I think I saw him at Blues Alley in Washington, D.C., because back then I was living in D.C. probably once or twice with his band. I didn't get to talk to him much, but 3 years later, he was doing an audition for piano players and drummers. So he auditioned drummers and piano players the same day at Michiko Studios.
Wow.
so so I had the opportunity to, to audition for him. Uh, with there was like five other piano players and bunch of drummers. And then we were rotating in the same tunes.
So
Like he would have me play,
would you play with different drummers that
yeah, yeah. And piano players, he was rotating drummers and piano players on the same tune.
Wow.
Yeah, that was all like really,
Surreal,
oh,
right?
yeah, I mean, we were playing like he played two songs and he rotated like five piano players and like four drummers.
Yeah, that
So
were you nervous or were you just excited? You had a lot of
um,
adrenaline?
I I was nervous because I was younger and I used to live in DC, so I was in New York and I the energy was so heavy, so I was a little nervous and I was thinking, man, there's no way I'm gonna get this gig. I was like, there is no way I'm gonna get this gig. I mean, this is very heavy here. So we finished uh, you know, the um, the audition, and I went to the parking lot and I grabbed this. I had a truck back then to drive back to Washington D.C. because I drove in the morning very early, and I left right away after the audition. And I remember I gave a ride to Jamire Williams, I thought he sounded great. There was all the drummers there, but I thought Jeremiah was, man, I like his style. That's when
Tremendous, yeah, tremendous.
we met in there. So he was back then he was going to new school. So I gave him a ride because I drove back. I took the Holland Tunnel, but I was in Michigan, so I took 7th Avenue straight down.
Yeah,
So I dropped him up around 13th Street. I think it was 13th Street, like around 12th, 13th Street. So I came back to DC. I remember, I was thinking, man, because Kenny was telling everybody, okay, I talk to you later. I talk to you later. So it was like, he's never gonna call. So in the next morning, I got a message because he called very early. He called probably around 7 a.m. There is no way I was asleep back then. So so uh I heard the message and it's Kenny. He says, "Hey Benito, it's Kenny. I like the way you play. I would like to know if you want to play with my band." That's what he says.
yeah.
He says, "Please learn these tunes." He gave me like 15 songs. I already knew like 12 of them.
So that's great.
So, but Chris Fun was also in the band, so he kind of hooked me up with some of the tunes. He told me, "Hey, man, learn this tune, this tune, this tune." So, that's how we started.
Yeah,
My
and twenty,
my first, yeah, my
20 years
first,
later,
yeah,
right?
my first week with Kenny was at Berlin.
Okay.
Back then, we used to play from Tuesday through Sunday the whole week. And I remember that week I saw everybody came through, like starting from like Robert Glasper, Chris Dave. Back then these cats were hanging out,
Yeah.
and then Mark Ross, I remember seeing him. Oh, I remember seeing wow, like a lot of musicians came through. And I was like, wow, this is crazy. Because it was my first time playing with Kenny, and just being in that kind of environment, it was amazing. And that's how we started. We started in Berlin. Then after that, we went right away on tour to Europe, and it was a long tour. Also, it was like a month and a half.
Yeah. A lot of
Then
playing.
from then on, it was we were in and out because he played with Chick Corea for like a year. I think it was in 2009.
With McBride and
Yeah,
Roy
and
Haynes,
then
right?
then I start playing with Asa Lawrence, and I start doing other stuff. I did that album Circles.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's how we started.
Well, to where we know now we're 20 years later, and you've recently started playing with him, but like there's so much that's happened in the 20 years, going from getting that phone call to leading your own bands and playing all over the world. It's tremendous, and recording these records. Um, do you think that without maybe the work with Kenny, your career might have gone in a different direction, like that you wouldn't have been where you are today? Because that's a big thing that happens in the beginning.
Yeah, I mean, I was lucky to do that because interesting enough, when I was in Venezuela, I wanted to play either with Michael Brecker or Kenny Garrett.
Oh man.
Those are the two gigs I really wanted, but I didn't really had a chance to meet Michael Brecker like that. I heard him live like twice, and it really blew my mind because that band was amazing with Tane and James Genus and Joey Calderazo. But then, I was, searching, trying to find to see if I could see Kenny live, and I was lucky to get the gig. I don't know, maybe my career would have gone, uh, maybe playing my direction in music would have been different for sure, because even though I love McCoy Tyner, before I joined Kenny's band, I wasn't playing quite like that. I was I was doing a lot of hard bop, and I was doing other, even like when you hear my first album in 2004, that was before I joined Kenny's band.
Was that with the one
My,
with Antonio Sanchez?
yeah, my playing wasn't like this, you know.
It was very different.
So yeah, with Kenny, it was I was required to have certain sound and certain things that I liked, you know, because I love McCoy is my favorite, but I was really back then I was learning. I was still like trying to put things together, and my approach to the piano was a little different.
You know, I think we're talking about McCoy. You know, that's a really interesting, you know, you mentioned his name and everything. One of the first things that I always think about when you mention McCoy and is that when you listen to McCoy play, aside from all the chordal harmony and all the, you know, inverted hexatonic pennant, whatever you want to call these things,
Right.
is that it almost feels like it's two musicians, the left and the right. Do you ever have you ever do you see that in his playing at all? And that's and do you hear it in that way? Like it's almost two people at the same time?
Well, I know for sure that McCoy approach to the piano is different than much different than his peers. I mean, if from his generation, I will say Herbie Hancock. Chick Corea was a little younger, but Chick also, uh, Wynton Kelly for sure. I mean, those cats were playing. Oh yeah, Keith Jarrett. Uh, those piano players, you know, that came out kind of at the same time that McCoy. They were playing lines, and they were playing chords and lines, and you know, like Herbie had a chance to play with Miles, so they were playing some serious music, but the piano playing, it was like pretty much chords and lines. But McCoy played, he always sets up his lines with chords first.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so the difference in between McCoy and the rest of the piano players is that his playing, his way of playing was so organic. It was not really focused in that classical way of playing that they came out. That's why McCoy was so different from the start. He was always doing different things. Yeah, and that was one of the biggest difference. And yes, I mean, I see like when you hear his playing, you hear he's setting up his lines and all his treatment with his left hand, and the way he moved, the movement of his left hand is what makes McCoy also.
Yeah.
So, you know, so he was like, for sure, he was like moving stuff, you know, it was like.
Yeah,
Then
we can't hear the piano, but we could see the piano. Yeah, we're watching, but we can't hear the piano. That's the
Oh
problem.
yeah, I know. But
No, but
anyway,
I know what you're, but I just want to hear your take on that, because, you know, and it's interesting to hear you describe how he sets himself up.
yeah, because it makes sense what you're saying, that it sounds like two piano players, because it is that way, and you know, it's not simple for piano players who come out listening to bebop, like Bud Powell and Wynton Kelly and Oscar Peterson, because that way of playing is not the way that, I mean, physically is so different. Physically, just
Demanding
physically,
too, right? Demanding.
yeah, just physically in your hand is so different. So for me, I started very early to learn this way of playing. So it became very I became very you know comfortable by playing like that. Also, he doesn't play lines like like Herbie and the other guys that playing lines like this. He's playing lines very with these open intervals. So yeah. For my take on McCoy is just he was pretty much his own
It's his own
artist.
thing. It's its own.
Yeah,
It's a
yeah.
yeah.
And he changed the way the piano was playing for sure.
Sure. And I just it's but I like to talk of this was interesting to talk about the left and right hand almost having a conversation with each other is
Yeah,
so was so innovative in that sense.
yeah.
And aside from, we talk about McCoy, we can't help but think about, that he played with the John Coltrane Quartet, obviously, and all of his other groups with the real McCoy, so on and so forth. Let me ask you a question. If you could go back and you were your age now in the 1960s, who would you hire to be in your band, you think?
That's a good question. Wow. Um, Sorry about the siren. So I
I
am
don't
in
hear it. Don't
Flatbush.
worry.
I'm in Flatbush. This is it's normal.
Hey, I don't hear it. Don't worry.
So, anyways, man, let me think. I would say there is so many great players. I think Elvin Jones, maybe.
Hmm.
Elvin Jones. I would have loved Elvin Jones, uh, Buster Williams, uh,
Who I know you've worked with as well. You've worked with him,
Joe Henderson,
yes. Whoa. That would be an
and
amazing group.
let me think.
You thinking about
Yeah,
trumpet or another saxophone?
trumpet.
I would have guessed for you. Would it be Woody Shaw, you think?
Goody, yeah, Goody Show. So that will be my ideal band for that uh time.
I wouldn't ask that question to someone unless I thought I admired their playing tremendously because I know, you would have been with Elvin and Joe Henderson. It would have been amazing, I'm sure. So that's really interesting to hear that question.
Yeah, man. Joe Henderson, eh, man, he was so refined. Like his playing was like you grab Coltrane and squeeze like the good stuff and
Hmm.
other sax players. And that's what Joe Henderson does. It's like it's like the pure killingness of many players.
Yeah.
Wow.
That
So
new
tasty. Yeah, and so unpredictable and blows my mind, man. I've been talking about him with Kenny. Kenny is checking him out a lot these days.
I know Kenny
So,
loves Joe Henderson. I've
so we
heard.
talk about Joe Henderson. Yeah. Kenny couldn't get a lesson with Joe Henderson, so he said, well, I hired him for my record. So he got the
Yeah.
lesson in the studio.
Yes. Oh, that record. What I think it's called. What is it called? Black Hope, maybe something like
Black
that.
Hope. Yeah,
Okay.
man.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
That's
beautiful.
computer G. It's amazing. The
Yeah.
solo that Joe plays there.
Yeah, no, we talk about these masters, and there's some of them were such heavy figures. That being said, I'm sure it was there's a lot of mystery about this music, and when we talk about it, it is hard to talk about because it hits us so deeply in a way we can't explain.
Right.
What is it when you play the piano? what do you think it gives you that you can't get anywhere else? I mean, obviously it gives you this joy and expression, but is there anything else we can maybe know about how you feel when you play? Is it like an out of body experience? Are you just feeling joy coming through? Like how do you what do you get from the piano you can't get anywhere else on an emotional level?
Well, with me, the thing with me is that it's when I was younger, I was just excited to even play, with anyone. So for me, I wasn't really expecting to have what I have today. I mean, because it has changed through the years. You know, it's a weird it's a weird thing to explain because some nights we play good. For example, when I am with Kenny, some nights are very magic. Some nights are not so magic. But the reason why we come back is because we want to feel what we felt the night before. So it's a weird feeling. It's like a mix in between knowing what you're playing, and being in the moment right there and playing your instrument, and then seeing how you play interact with the interaction with the other band members goes somewhere else, and feeling okay with that. It's very strange, man. It's like, and then some nights that doesn't happen. Uh,
That's just being a human being. So what are you gonna do, right?
yeah, but some nights are very magic, and I think that's why we come back because we try to do it again. But when we try, sometimes it doesn't work the same way. It might works different. So I learned that I just enjoy playing. I mean, it doesn't matter
Yeah, it
what
just feels
happens.
good, right? It feels
Yeah,
good.
yeah, it doesn't matter what happens. I just I will, just try my best. Also, being in a position where this music is very interesting because the masters and the legends, they kind of, by listening to you, that's what I experienced at least. They put you in a category. Not in that, no, they don't label you, but they put you in a category, and it feels good. Like, when I play with, for example, with Lenny White and Buster, you know, they cannot understand where I am standing musically, and it's amazing to receive that and to be part of that movement. So meaning that whatever happens on the stage, whether I connect with the drums and the band, or whether it's magic or not, we still have the responsibility of pushing this sound forward, because we are part of that and we have to do it. We have to do it. That's our mission. That's how we see it with Kenny.
Yeah, I mean, jazz has
So,
so much, we're talking about the masters, the roots are so deep when you go back to this music that's over a
yeah,
hundred years old.
yeah.
What does it mean to you to create something, your own sound and or something new in the music? Maybe when did you feel like you really started to develop your own voice? What was it about that? Like where you could say, okay, now I've reached another level. I am myself now on the instrument or something like that.
It happens somewhere right before 2010, uh, because before then, I didn't know I remember I knew I was playing, but I didn't know how to to make it like a strong statement. I was playing a lot. I was playing a lot of piano and I was doing all of these things, but um I was like reaching to find myself inside of that sound, because it's the level of like being a student and learning different styles and finding your own sound inside of that is huge.
Sure. Let
So
me.
so
Uh,
somewhere in there,
mhm.
I found myself in the middle, and that's when I start thinking about my writing is very much part of that, and my way of listening to music is part of that. What I work, my gigs are part of that. I mean, everything is part of that. It's like, because before then I didn't know uh the differences. I used to like separate all these things, but now is everything is a big rounded sound that it has many different elements.
What happens is, and you could speak about this after I give my understanding or opinion about it, is that a person wants to, what would be the point to just copy everybody else? You have to have your own voice. Um, if you really want to be doing this authentically, you take from the legends and the masters you love. You take from all of your musical history that you've had that's not jazz, whatever you just like to listen to that's not jazz. You take from your personal experiences, whatever those emotions are, and then you put it all together, and from all that you start to hear new things, new sounds. You try to create these sounds. It's very hard because it's a lot of a lot of mistakes while you're trying to find your own thing, and it's a lot of, you can fail while trying, but you keep going, you keep pushing. At least that's how I feel about finding what it is to find your own voice. Do you think maybe something has to do with some of the things I listed?
Yeah, yeah, totally. Yeah, it has definitely. Also, you know sometimes people tend to put you in the box for some reason, because it's been happening for decades. And the thing is this: when you listen to Coltrane, let's say that you listen to Coltrane live at Berlin, and I listen to the same album, I am sure we will listen different things. You
Yeah,
listen some certain things, and I listen to my ears is different than your ears. So there is no way, if I study Coltrane and you study Coltrane, we will sound the same. No way.
no way.
No, because we all have different perspective. And it's like that. The same happened, with McCoy, and in my case that I play piano, or Herbie, or Chick. So that's one thing. The most important part, that the take on this that I want to talk about, is that yes, we should learn, from the underground, like from the bottom. We have to learn some of the tradition, bebop and hard bop, and some of the things that Bill Evans made a huge uh, you know Bill Evans, he was very important when he came out because he brought the voicings, those big voices to the music, and Oscar Peterson brought some other stuff. Then Herbie came out. Herbie was like so very advanced, you know. But we have to go back also, and the new sound. The new sound is bebop. Actually, that's the modern jazz. Is bebop, you know. Yeah, we have to learn Herbie, and we have to learn all of that, McCoy and Chick, and that kind of sound that will round all you playing. But the new sound is bebop. That is still today is the new sound. Now I will play my music, but I am not gonna play passion dance or like one finger snap all the time. I'm gonna play new compositions that have maybe more modern way. The map is modern. It's like what happening today. But I'm gonna use those elements from the tradition that I learned.
No, you have such a unique voice on the piano. I was listening to your, let me the record you did, the one with it has, Josh Evans and Tane and
Oh yeah,
McBride.
yeah.
Yeah, what's the name of that record?
Sing to the world.
Sing to the World. Yeah. I mean, I was listening to that record and, for me, listening to someone play the piano and have their voice at such a high level. I mean, it's it's interesting to hear how you think about this stuff. I really love hearing about it.
Yeah, yeah. The thing is, the idea is to really understand how they play the music, how Herbie does this, how McCoy does this, Chick Corea, Bud Powell, Wynton Kelly. Then, but we don't want to play passion dance and one finger snap all the time. We're gonna write new music and apply the sounds to that to see if we can push that forward.
Yeah, and the thing about this is there's always so much music to explore. I mean, the new Joe Henderson record with McCoy just came out 2 days ago, whatever it was, 2 days
Oh
ago.
yeah, it sound as fresh as something would be recorded today.
Yeah, I mean, there's just so much there to draw from. I mean, it's
There
just
you go. So that's what I'm talking about, and they are playing tunes that were written back then.
yes, yeah,
We can't really play those tunes. We gotta play the tunes that we are writing today, but we have to apply these vocabularies for
yes,
sure. And if we don't know these vocabularies, there is no way we can push the music forward
yes,
because there is so many cats there that talk, the shortcut. They didn't learn that shit right, and they are put in positions where they should not be. There is so many people that can, they shouldn't be band leaders, man, and that's how it is.
a lot of it is, some of it of the music business is just pure luck, I have to
Oh yeah,
say.
yeah, yeah. No, no, totally. I I totally understand that they need an image. The Blue Note and many other labels, they need somebody.
Yeah.
And
No, this is great. No, Benito, my meeting's gonna end in very like about a minute or two.
okay, bro.
We're gonna have to do part two, please.
Oh yeah, man. Let me know anytime.
Because I mean this is great. I mean, I'm just keeping my episodes kind of a little short because I'm still learning how to do this.
Right, right.
I'm not a podcaster. I'm a educator and musician and
Man, but great
write
to talk.
books.
But great talking with you, bro.
Yeah, man. I mean, listen, where can we find your website, all that stuff so I can put it?
Oh, Benito Gonzalez Music.com, Instagram, and all of that is at Benito Piano.
Yeah, beautiful. Listen,
And
I'm gonna
man,
get
this
I'm gonna call you on the phone as soon as we close the meeting because I just want to finish talking with you for a few minutes. But for everyone out there, Benito Gonzalez, the man, tremendous.